Well, the author of Twitter Files exposes more censorship efforts online. Here's One America's Tom McGrath.
Basically, we're using many of the same techniques as the bad guys, but we're doing it in a good way.
The authors of the Twitter Files proudly present the origin story of the censorship industrial complex. Tuesday, independent journalists Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi, as well as newcomer Alexandra Gutentag, unveiled the outgrowth of mass silencing sprung from the tactics of the Cyber Threat Intelligence League. The CTIL files source whistleblower documents showing how private entities were utilized as proxies for government agencies to curtail the First Amendment rights of American citizens. The latest revelations push the birth date of the censorship industrial complex back to June of 2018, when former British defense researcher Sarah Jane Terp met former U.S. Naval Commander Pablo Brewer. The initial concept was to use military methods to combat so-called misinformation using public-private partnerships.
The people that have the capability don't have the legal authority, right? And so the people that have the capability and expertise to do this is the U.S. Department of Defense. But the U.S. Department of Defense is expressly forbidden by presidential directive and by law from operating against U.S. citizens.
Events such as Brexit and the 2016 presidential victory of Donald Trump were used as justifications to clamp down on free speech. Terp, Brewer, and a number of other multinational former military personnel would form the CTIL, a group of nominal volunteers targeting mis- and disinformation on behalf of hospitals and healthcare systems. Their MisinfoSec report lamented traditional media's lack of monopoly on the flow of information. According to the report, the opinions of the masses had to be controlled by constructing narratives and snuffing out counter-narratives. The whistleblower claimed CTIL leaders had no moral quandaries about violating the First Amendment, but that their handbook advises using burner phones, AI-generated faces, pseudonyms, and sock puppet accounts. Terp's self-described Hogwarts School of Misinformation would get to flex their muscles in the spring of 2020, scouring social media platforms for content critical of lockdowns and other draconian COVID measures. It's no surprise that Terp would go on to advise the WHO on combating alleged vaccine misinformation. But their silencing efforts would expand far beyond the virus. CISA would create the Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, mirroring CTIL tactics to flag posts as foreign disinformation. In June of 2020, CISA would set up the Election Integrity Partnership to secure the 2020 election.
It overlaps somewhat with COVID, but definitely goes beyond it. I am very much focused on the election, the U.S. election in November, because I think it's a very end of the world type of moment.
The virus is just an actor in the broader story.
But was any of the information censored by the League or government agencies false? In a 2019 podcast, Terp said most misinformation is true, it's just missing context. And the entities were well aware of the repercussions of their operations, as Bloomberg, The Washington Post, and Wired all produced puff pieces for the CTIL, while the EIP regularly released blog posts so that both could claim they were operating out in the open the whole time. Ever the bastions of transparency, the FBI, CISA, and Terp have declined requests for comment on the matter. Schellenberger notes the CTIL is still active according to LinkedIn pages of its members, just in case free speech gets a little too free. Tom McGrath, One America News.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.